Hello, I am Coach Esplancer of the Dallas Staryu, and we are back, baby. We are back. I have just joined the Universal Analyst League, which is a league set up by some of the analysts for the Global Battle Association in order for a lot of them to get more experience on the other side of the league format, the coaches side. There are many of them actually that have never participated in league format. So it's going to be exciting to see how we do and how well they do. But our first match is going to be up against the Shamrock Snovers, coached by I'm Pledge. This is an in-division match. I will face him again later this season. He has a Latias and a Zapdos, a Ferrothorn and a Rotom Wash, a Gardevoir and a Nidoqueen, a Blaziken and a Scrafty, a Dusclops and a Gorbis, and a Mega Pinsir. So here's the team I expect him to bring. He's going to have an answer for Volcanion, for Mega Gardevoir, and for Kyurem. A defensive one that can switch in and take hits. The most logical switch in for all of those is Dusclops. I think Dusclops comes 100% of the time. And he can also use Dusclops' ability to scout my items to see what I am bringing. So I have to make sure that Scizor and Gliscor, he doesn't try to come in on those. I don't want him to see the item I'm bringing on those because that is central to my strategy this week, which we'll get to soon. But Dusclops is very bulky. It doesn't have reliable recovery, but it can do things to me that I don't necessarily want. Like it can toxic things. It can set up Calm Minds, it can try to do that. And then sleep it off with rest. And I think it gets Pain Split too. But I'm going to try a dispatch at Dusclops, mostly because I don't want to see my items. Another good defensive answer, mostly for Volcanion, if he expects me to bring that, is a defensive Latias. Defensive Latias will get defog. It's got reliable recovery, and it could do some damage with a Draco Meteor or a Dragon Pulse and maybe a Hidden Power. Maybe a Hidden Power Fire, maybe a Hidden Power Ice, I don't know. But I think if Latias comes, it will be defensive. Now we could see an offensive one. Another good defensive ring for Volcanion would be a Rotom Wash. Now, Rotom Wash takes a lot of damage from Kyurem if it's got Draco Meteor for Mega Gardevoir. But I have to have prior damage on that thing in order to actually kill it. So it's something to keep in mind. But Rotom Wash, I think, will be more of an offensive presence that he brings. Now some offensive threats. I've already said the Dusclops, and I've already said the Latias. I can't leave off the other defensive Pokemon I think he brings, and that's Ferrothorn. He could try to set up rocks with it. I think he's going to have like an Oka Berry or something like that to eat up a Hidden Power Fire and kill like Mega Gardevoir back with a Gyro Ball or hit Kyurem back with a Gyro Ball. I think that's something that we see it bring. It could also just be straight up Iron Barb's Rocky Helmet or Leftovers or something like that. It remains to be seen. But defensively, I'm thinking defensive Latias, Dusclops, Ferrothorn as his trio of defensive mons. On the offensive side, I am most worried about a Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen has the coverage to hit my entire team. Now, it can be scarfed and outspeed things, but part of Nidoqueen's thing is that it has coverage to hit everything, but it has to switch coverage in order to hit things. So it could be a Revenger, with a Choice Scarf. But it's also bulky enough to take a hit and hit something really hard in return, even if it's not invested in anything but HP and special attack. And with the Life Orb and Sheer Force, I don't have a lot of switch-ins for Nidoqueen, not gonna lie. That thing can take out Scizor, it can take out Gliscor, it can take out Mega Gardevoir. It'll take a lot of damage from Mega Gardevoir in the process, but Nidoqueen's scary. Offensively, I also think Mega Pinsir comes. Now, I have a Cofagrigus. Cofagrigus is an obvious answer to Mega Pinsir. It's an obvious switch, and I think he's going to expect me to bring it. Because Mummy will cancel Aerialate, his other physical type Blaziken. It gets pretty much completely shut down by Cofagrigus. And Scrafty's a thing. You know, I'll get to Scrafty later. But I expect a Mega Pincer to come. I don't think Gardevoir comes. I don't really see the point. I mean, it could do well. I don't see Blaziken coming either. But Scrafty with a Dragon Dance set could really do a lot of work. So I have to be mindful of that. Especially if it's got like Drain Punch, it'll punch holes through Cheesecake. The Dark Stab will take out Pythagoras. It could be a really good brain. Now, it's got to come in and set up first. Before then, Mega Gardevoir obviously destroys it. And, you know, so does a lot of other Pokemon on my team. You know, it's not going to want to take a Steam Eruption Burn unless it's got a Lumberry or a Shed's. But I think I'll be alright with Scrafty. So let's get into what I'm bringing. We are bringing Miltank. Miltank is going to be my lead in most situations, unless I see something weird, and then I might switch it up. But I'm using Miltank as a scout. I've got Seismic Toss, I've got Counter, Substitute, and Miltank with a Chople Berry. Now, I expect him fully to lead off with Rotom Wash if he brings that, or Zapdos if he brings that, and probably go for like a Volt Switch or something like that. Now, if he tricks a Scarf onto me, that's going to be really bad. I'm not going to like that. I'm not going to enjoy that at all. But I can Seismic Toss to kind of scout some sets out. If he goes into his Dusclops, I am Scrappy. He'll see my Chople Berry, and he'll be hesitant on going into his fighting types like Scrafty or Mega Pinsir. But I will be able to 3-shot any variant of a Dusclops with Seismic Toss because I'm Scrappy. And I'll be able to set up my substitute on it, and he won't be able to break that sub in return, which means that he's going to have to switch out and take Seismic Toss damage on something else, which will allow me to scout out that set as well, or let Dusclops go down, which I don't really think he'll do, but never know. Ferrothorn could also come in. Now, Ferrothorn, the way I have my EVs set up, 200 speed EVs will outspeed all his base 80s. That's like Blaziken and Nidoqueen. It'll outspeed those. And I can get a last-ditch Seismic Toss on those before I go down in order to scout out those moves. But with 60 defensive EVs and an Impish Nature, I can actually set up substitutes on Ferrothorn as well, and Miltank on it, and whittle that thing down too. Ferrothorn will be taken down in 4 hits, but Iron Barbs, it's, you know, Seismic Toss is a contact move. Iron Barbs is a thing, and I'll have to Miltank up as well. Now, hopefully, you know, he'll actually, oh, while he's gonna Miltank right here, he'll switch out into something like Mega Pinsir with Scrafty, and think he can Drain Punch or Close Combat me, and I can knock that thing out with a count. Now, if he saw the Chople Berry, he'll be less likely to do that. But this thing's going to be a scout. I want to see if certain things are offensive or defensive. If Hiatus comes in expecting Stealth Rocks, I want to see if that's offensive or defensive. It's just going to Seismic Toss pretty much until it dies. And it's going to whittle things down, and it's going to let me see what some sets are. So next up, we have the Jingles Klefki. Klefki is coming through with Foul Play, Thunder Wave, Reflect, and Light Screen. And we are making this even. I have it even on both defense and Spadef, so that it's roughly equal, just so I can take most hits relatively well. But we're Prankster, and this thing, we're going to try to set up some screens here. This is going to set up my sweep for later. I'm pretty much banking on a sweep on Mega Gardevoir or Kira. You know, that's a spoiler here. And to do that, I'm going to have to set up Reflect and or Light Screen. I also have T-Wave to scare some things out. You know, if Scrafty sets up too many Dragon Dances, I can T-Wave it to make it less of a threat. If Mega Pinsir comes in, he's not going to want to take a T-Wave either, because then he'll have to go for close combats. Also, Foul Play will do a butt ton of damage to it, especially if it's Sword Stance or something like that. And I can take its hits pretty well, and with the Reflect, even an Earthquake. But I'm hoping to set up the screen and get attacked so I can eject out of there into one of my setup Pokemon. So first one is going to be Safety Scissors. This is a... Safety Scissors here is a weakness policy scissor. Maximum special defense with a careful nature. And I am going to try to bait a fire move. Behind Light Screen or Reflect, I can take any fire move from any Pokemon he's got. Heat Wave from Zapdos, Nidoqueen, Fire Punch, or Flamethrower. Which I have to have the screens up for Zapdos and Nidoqueen, and for Blaziken. I have to have screens up for those. But some Pokemon I don't need screens up for would be Hidden Power Fire on a Rotom Wash, or on a Latias. Which I think it's more likely on Latias. So this thing is going to try to activate the weakness policy on Latias if he brings it. So the idea here is Klefki weakness policy's out. Klefki ejects into this thing. It hits an agility, and while it's hitting agility, it takes a Hidden Power Fire or something like that, or some kind of fire attack. And then I hit Baton Pass, and I go into Mega Gardevoir if it's Latias that's out, or I'll go into Kyurem if it's something like Nidoqueen, or something like that, and I'll sweep with that. But that'll be a +2/+2/+2 on my sweeper, and I hope that works out. I have Roost, just in case I have to come in on an attack and Roost up so I can take the fire type attack, and I've got Bullet Punch as well, because I need to have some kind of attack. You never know, it could come in handy. Next up, we got Twilight the Gliscor, and Gliscor is the other part of my weakness policy gambit here. It's going to try to bait a Hidden Power Ice. Now, here's something funny. A Scarfed, or basically a not Life Orb or not Choice Spec Rotom Wash, if it hits a Hydro Pump on this thing, I will be able to survive it from full health. If it hits an HP Ice, it does even less damage. I can also take HP Ice from Zapdos. I can take HP Ice from a Latias, and I'm actually more likely to set up the sweep with this thing. But it's going to be the same thing. I come into this, I set up a Rock Polish, I take an HP Ice, and I Baton Pass out. Now, this thing, like if I come in on a Nidoqueen, for example, Nidoqueen's usually not going to want to take an Earthquake. So this would force out that Nidoqueen. Or even a Mega Pinsir. Mega Pinsir, it's not going to want to take like an Acrobatics or something like that. And it can't really do a lot to a defensive Gliscor in return. So it would switch out. And the most obvious switch in is Rotom Wash if he brings that. Or even Zapdos, possibly Latias. Any of those are okay. Rotom Wash, I can take the Hydro Pump, I can take the HP Ice. I have Taunt to stop it from Will-O-Wisping me on the switch. I want to force it to go for an attack on me. Rotom Wash is the most likely. Hydro Pump or HP Ice. I can take them. I need them to activate my weakness policy. The next one, Latias. I can take HP Ice even from a Specs Latias, which is absolutely ridiculous. Now, if he goes for something else first, then I'll be in a little trouble. He could even go for Defog to defog away the screens. That would kind of suck too. But I can take the HP Ice even without the screens, as long as I'm at full health. So, hopefully that pans out for me. And finally, Zapdos, I can take HP Ice from those. We have Rock Slide. Now, Rock Slide is just in case I absolutely have to do something to the Mega Pinsir because it's not switching out. It's got like a setup or something, and I gotta Rock Slide it. Never know, it could come in handy. It is my best possible thing. It's also going to hit anything that switches him, so maybe not very hard because I'm not invested, but it's mostly for that Mega Pinsir. So now let's go into my sweepers. So first we have Kyurem here. Kyurem has coverage to hit his entire team. If I'm at +2 special attack, this set right here will OHKO everything except for an Oka Berry, Ferrothorn with Hidden Power Fire, or a Dusclops that hasn't had any prior damage. Shadow Ball actually, even at +2, will not 2-hit KO a specially defensive Dusclops. If it's physically defensive, it will. But otherwise, at +2, I'm pretty much set to put holes in this team. Ice Beam will kill anything, Nidoqueen, Latias, Mega Pinsir, whatever. I have the bulk to take a quick attack, and that's fine. Dragon Pulse will kill the Rotom Wash, even if it's specially defensive. It will kill it at +2. And I can pretty much switch in, I can Baton Pass into the Rotom Wash very easily, so, that's nice. Same thing with Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen pretty much has to run Focus Blast, and I don't really expect it to. I think he's going to expect me. I think if anything, he'll predict the Mega Gardevoir and he'll Sludge Bomb. So, yeah, I have Shadow Ball for Dusclops. At +2, it'll do about 80% to a specially defensive, so if I get prior damage, like one side per toss, then that's all I'll need. But, yeah, this does it right here. Even a Scrafty isn't going to take an Ice Punch, Ice Beam, or a Dragon Pulse very well. So I think this is going to come through. But the sweeper I really want to use is Deep Voice, because Deep Voice will absolutely sweep this entire team. There's some things that can stop McFrosty, but Deep Voice, Mega Gardevoir, if I set this thing up at +2, +2, +2, there's nothing stopping it. I'll be able to take a quick attack. It's only going to do 65% max, even from Adamant. Hyper Voice will kill a lot of things. Latias, Rotom Wash, Mega Pinsir, anything like that. I have Stored Power. Stored Power will kill an Eviolite holding specially defensive Dusclops. So that's the plan for Stored Power. And with 6 boosts, it's going to be a base 140 Psychic attack. That's ridiculous. It'll also take out any variant of Nidoqueen, even if it's holding a berry or something like that. I'd have Side Shock just in case I have to, attack a Nidoqueen without any boosts. But we'll see. And I have HP Fire. Now the only thing that would stop this would be if I don't get any prior damage on an Oka Berry holding Ferrothorn. But I think I can either get prior damage on it, or it won't be holding Oka Berry. I think that's pretty likely. But HP Fire will destroy it. Normally it does 70%, but at +2 it destroys it. Oka Berry obviously would bring that back down. But this thing could potentially sweep his entire team, no matter what he brings. Zapdos destroyed by Hyper Voice or Stored Power. Yeah. So this strategy here is either going to be very, very successful, or it's going to fail spectacularly. It's going to be one or the other. And I hope that I am able to win with this set, and that it sets a tone for the season. But I could very well lose, and lose badly, if this does not go for me. Gliscor on the Rotom Wash is going to be my most likely chance of pulling this off. But I got Scissor in the back just in case. But hopefully, I win, and I act as a deterrent for other coaches I face for daring to bring Hidden Power Fire or Hidden Power Ice to hit my Scissor or Gliscor. It's going to make those a lot more threatening, because they're not going to want me to pass a Weakness Policy into something. That's going to be no bueno. But this is my team. I am going to be doing this match tomorrow. And I hope that I can pull through. I'm Coach Esplancer signing out. It has been a pleasure.